never found the right band to join. So I started my own. You want in?
Get out of the way! I can't see! Get out of the way!
In Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales gets a sudden visit from his long-distance friend, Gwen Stacy. And when it turns out that Gwen came to hunt down a new supervillain made of holes, Miles decides to tag along and follow her all across the Spider-Verse, which may not have been the best idea because now he must face his very own canon event. And simply put, this movie is pretty good. Pretty damn good, for endless reasons ranging from the comedy to the incredible visuals. I mean, this Miles Morales version of Spider-Man is just awesome. The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it, especially as the music begins to swell. Oh wait, I'm not IGN, I have to make my own arguments. Well, the movie is just really great, guys, especially for a lot of the same reasons I brought up about the first one. Its ingenious use of reversals. You know, the way it sets up an assumption and then suddenly twists it around for purposes of comedy and action and story and everything. It's once again top-notch at this. It's actually much quicker to identify the bad things about this movie, of which there are two. The fact that Nick Cage is not in it, as well as the fact that it ends.
I've wanted it so bad. I can't do it. I can't take this no more, man.
In fact, if I had to do my own review of Across the Spider-Verse, it'd be this.
My compliments to the cook.
Okay, but now that we've gone past the mandatory section of the video where I have to drool over this movie, here's what I actually want to talk about today. The aspect about Across the Spider-Verse that I believe is the major factor in it becoming this massive phenomenon that everyone's loving and quoting.
Spider-Man, why did you create that guy?
I didn't. He's talking
The fact that it's one of the smartest movies Hollywood has produced in a while. And when I say smart, I mean clever, witty. If this movie was a person, it'd be someone like Captain Jack Sparrow, like Sam Rockwell. Someone you absolutely want at your party because they're able to entertain everyone there with seemingly zero effort.
Okay, let's go.
How, you ask? Well, with different forms of irony as well as choice. That's how Across the Spider-Verse does it, how it creates characters that stand out, scenes that are worth more than their face value, emotion that's way more powerful than what we're used to getting in these big blockbusters. So today, let's look at and learn from those things. Let's see how Across the Spider-Verse uses irony and choice to cleverly stand out from the pack, and how we can do that too.
I taught him how to do that, so I gotta be a pretty good mentor. Pull that off.
Firstly, this movie uses traditional irony to build characters as well as some scenes that leave a strong impression on you that you cannot forget.
Do almost nothing with my amazing hair. You don't use any product that...
A great example of this is the new villain, Spot. On the surface, what you may notice about him is that he's a goofy idiot with goofy, idiotic powers. He tries to rob a convenience store's ATM machine, an ATM, and he's having an absolute stinker. He's never robbed anything before, so he has no idea what he's doing. He has no threatening personality, so he's mostly there for us and Spider-Man to laugh at. And his powers as well. Not only are they seemingly dumb, but he doesn't even know how to use them. Overall, he's a moronic momentary hurdle, a villain of the week that doesn't even earn Spider-Man's full attention.
Looking at your text? You understand this is the fight of our lives, right?
Sorry, just a second, man.
But as time goes on, Spot begins to morph into the opposite. He's making these crazy actions that blow him up along with a building. He's jumping across the multiverse with his powers.
What the heck is this piece of
He's charging himself up in a manner that causes incredible destruction. He becomes this super serious and threatening villain. He becomes Spider-Man's nemesis, threatening to take everything from him. He's the very opposite of what we knew him to be.
I'm gonna take everything from you. What? See you back home, Spider-Man.
And to be clear, it's not so much a reversal of setting up an assumption and then suddenly twisting it around. It's more about Spot being someone he isn't. It's the stark contrast between who he is and what he does and how he behaves that makes him stand out. A goofy idiot who may destroy everything the hero holds dear. It's not often that audiences get to see that. As a couple other character examples, look at the Mumbai Spider-Man. He turns out to be this happy-go-lucky guy living this great easy life.
Being Spider-Man is so easy. I wake up, skip the workout because I'm naturally buff and I don't want to get too big, you know? Then I swing by school, don't really have to try, but I do anyway. Fight a few bad guys. Then I hang out with my girlfriend Gayatri.
Which is weird to see because we're always used to seeing Spider-Man's life be full of challenges and tragedy. It's the fact that he's something he's not supposed to be that makes him stand out, right? Same with the leader of the spider community, Miguel O'Hara. He's Spider-Man, but also a vampire. That's a sudden character reversal twist. Whereas the irony of this character is that he's the #1 Spider-Man. He's supposed to be the ultimate good guy. Yet in time, he reveals himself as something very different. He's a screaming, unfeeling psychopath. He's not so much a hero as he is a villain almost. He's kinda like Batman in the universe where Thomas Wayne is Batman.
He's probably already dead.
And so are you.
Again, it's the contrast between who Miguel is supposed to be and how he behaves that makes him stand out.
Instead, he died, saving you.
But aside from pure character creation, irony is also put to smart use here by combining characters and situations that don't mix. When Miles is discussing quantum physics, his dad has no idea what he's waffling about. That's entertaining. Mixing opposite characters that don't mix is a great source for entertainment. Or more in terms of situations, look at when Spot talks about his backstory while being chased by the store owner with a baseball bat.
I used to work there. I had a little accident.
It is shameless exposition, yet it doesn't feel like it, because Spot is delivering it in a calm manner in this very uncalm situation. When Miles and Gwen are casually talking about exposition, they're doing it while making these death-defying stunts.
An elite society with all the best spider people in it?
Which again makes the exposition go down easier because this isn't where or how it's supposed to be. When Miles gets grounded, he himself mentions the absurdity of Spider-Man getting grounded.
He loves. I'm Spider-Man.
The joke is funny thanks to the irony of it, a multidimensional superhero getting grounded.
You ever been to Germany?
No,
Oh, you'll love it.
I can't go to Germany.
Why?
I got homework.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that.
Overall, it's the irony of these characters and situations that makes them shine so bright. What's more inherently interesting than a peaceful superhero? A peaceful superhero who kills anyone in the way of peace. What's more inherently interesting than an astronaut in space? An astronaut in the ocean.
I'm under the water. Please help me. You're too much raining.
Characters like these aren't always necessarily better. That will depend on your writing. But in terms of face value worth that you can start building upon, they will make more of an impression. So if you want to quickly make your characters or even some scenes stand out from the pack, irony is your best friend. Secondly, this movie uses dramatic irony within scenes to make the scenes worth way more than the sum of their parts. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, dramatic irony essentially means information that's distributed unevenly between different parties. Information that maybe one character and the audience have that other characters don't have.
This is big brain time.
As a couple of small examples to begin with, look at the scene where Miles' parents notice Gwen hanging out with Miles for the first time. Before the parents actually go talk to Gwen, there's two relevant bits of insight we gain. That they're very protective of Miles.
New Jersey? No, that's too far.
And that they're not too impressed by Gwen.
She looks old enough to vote.
And now that we know that, the upcoming scene between them plays very differently than it appears on the surface. When the mom chuckles at Gwen calling her by her first name,
"You're using my first name, okay."
We know she's actually judging Gwen for doing that. When the mom jokes about Gwen having been in Miles' room,
I guess he must have been there.
We know she's actually threatened by Gwen. As a whole, the scene may seem casually cordial to the naked eye, but thanks to the pre-existing context we possess, we know it goes way deeper.
Don't take him from me.
Or look at the scene where Spider-Man is talking with his police dad. On the surface, the scene is them just discussing life, whatever. But what we and Miles know that the dad doesn't is that Spider-Man is Miles. And so when Miles is talking about life, we know it's not just whatever talk, he's talking about them. We know that the words being said mean more than meets the eye. Or ear.
Maybe he's scared to talk to you.
Why would anyone be scared to talk to me?
I don't.
And in this manner, dramatic irony is a very effective tool to boost whatever emotion you want to generate within a scene. In the beginning, we get to know that Gwen's best friend Peter Parker lost his life in a very unfortunate manner. But the person who doesn't know that is Gwen's police dad. He believes that Spider-Woman killed him.
A criminal! He's a menace to the entire city! I want that wall-crawling arachnid prosecuted!
And so, when he's talking about the case to Gwen, we know something he doesn't. That he's hurting Gwen with each word. That he's unknowingly blaming his daughter for something which she didn't do, and which she's already tormented by.
She killed your friend.
You don't know that.
What do you mean I don't know that? I do know that. You know, I was there. She ran from the scene.
Maybe she didn't have a choice.
As in, it's the dramatic irony that boosts the effect of the drama between these two characters in every moment they share. We have enough knowledge to know that Gwen and his dad should just make up and be best friends. But unfortunately, the uneven distribution of that knowledge prevents us from getting that aspired result. Dramatic irony. Or look at the relationship between Gwen and Miles. When Miles follows Gwen after their date, he realizes that she didn't come back for him, but rather for a mission. And when Gwen's boss confronts her about going off the mission to see Miles, she says something awful. That seeing Miles was a mistake, that she doesn't value him enough to ever see him again.
I'll never see him again.
And the reason that hurts us like a bullet from a 50 cal is because we know it's not true. We know the context that Gwen is on thin ice with these people and that she has to say that. We know she would never say that if she knew Miles was there because we know she cares about him. But unfortunately, she doesn't know and he doesn't know. We know enough to desperately want them to make up and make out, yet that's not happening. It's an ironic tragedy.
That's why Gwen tried to stop you.
I thought you were trying to save me. You knew? You all knew?
I didn't know how to tell you.
But it's not only negative emotion. You can use dramatic irony with everything, including comedy. What Gwen doesn't know is that Miles' action figure is in its packaging to preserve its value.
Wait, why is it still in the package?
That's what makes this funny. What Miles and even the audience don't fully know is that Gwen's super cool friend Hobie
Who's Hobie?
is just a friend and not Miles' competitor. That's what makes this funny.
Wendy, you left your jumper around my place.
Wait, what? That's not mine, I'm sure.
And your toothbrush.
What Gwen tells Miles about the spider community is that it's a very exclusive club, and yet it ultimately turns out to be the opposite of exclusive. It's as if every single spider person except Miles is included, even Spider-Cat and Geriatric Spider-Man.
Oh, dang, I pulled something.
That's what makes it funny. So, if you want to make more out of the sum of your scene's parts, dramatic irony is a tool like no other. And if you also want darker examples of this than what you get in Across the Spider-Verse, check out Netflix's Caliber. That movie takes a bunch of zero-budget scraps and dramatic ironizes them into gold.
Successful day stalking?
No. Total washout.
Where did you lads stock? Drum reap.
It's beautiful up there. Really beautiful.
I was able to build this in a cave! With a box of scraps!
Well, I'm sorry. I don't know dramatic irony.
Thirdly, the movie faces characters off with hard choices to define who they are, as well as to generate powerful emotion. And there's a few things that a hard choice means. It can mean an extreme choice, like Spot wanting Spider-Man to take him seriously so badly that he becomes this self-harmful time bomb, stopping at nothing to get what he's after.
Or vaporize me and everything in this building, which would not be good.
It's thanks to the very extreme nature of his actions that makes Spider-Man as well as us take him seriously. A hard choice can also mean choosing against the established norm, like when Miles learns about the so-called canon events. Miguel tells him that bad things must happen to every Spider-Man because those bad things are what define all Spider-Men and hold the Spider-Verse intact. And it's not just Miguel either. Almost everyone around Miles is on board with this idea.
Yes, sir.
So much so that it's like fact.
If not for Uncle Ben, most of us wouldn't be here, Miles.
Yet, when Miles makes his choice regarding his own parents, he chooses differently.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
It's thanks to Miles not conforming to a broadly accepted standard that gives weight to his choice as well as to the feelings he holds for his parents. That's what makes Miles different from everyone else in this movie. That's what makes Miles, Miles. A hard choice can also mean a painful choice, like Gwen not telling Miles the truth about the Spider-Verse and her mission even though she desperately wants to, which shows how scared she is of being kicked out to be alone. Like Miles not telling his parents the truth about him being Spider-Man even though it would make things a lot easier, which shows how scared he is of being rejected. Like Miguel believing so strongly in what he believes that he's willing to sink to the lowest levels and do the most horrendous things that no other Spider-Man wants to even imagine. It's the heavy nature of the choices that makes them feel massive and meaningful.
And in every other universe, it doesn't end well.
A hard choice can also mean a choice with consequences, like with Miles getting dealt a terrible hand due to his adamance to fight for his parents. He does something that can be seen as honorable, yet as a result, he ends up in the wrong universe to face a crappy reality he unknowingly caused. He finally gets the courage to tell his mom the truth about himself, yet he only gets blank stares.
Who?
All Miles wanted to do was save his dad, yet he only ended up in a world where his dad is already gone and where he'll most likely be gone soon as well. Oops. Or like Gwen balancing herself between Miles and the spider community. Throughout the story, she's been forced to keep Miles at a distance because she's on thin ice with her bosses and doesn't want to ruin things. And at the end, she finally chooses to man up and defend Miles like a good friend. A seemingly correct choice that should earn a positive result.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
Yet, the result isn't positive at all. She's kicked out and ostracized from the club, forced back to the reality she had to escape, away from Miles and everyone else, all alone, forever. That's not a whatever insignificant choice, it's a choice that matters. Overall, choices are your best way to define the truth about your characters in the eyes of the audience. When the hologram Spider-Woman decides to go against code and help Miles escape, that makes it clear she has a mind of her own. When Hobie flips off the establishment and ultimately helps Gwen get back in the game, that makes it clear he's a good guy we can count on and want to support. When the upside-down version of Miles doesn't let Miles go even though their dad's life is at stake.
If I don't get home, our dad is going to die.
You're dead.
That makes it clear just how far gone he is. When Gwen chooses to make things right with her dad, no matter how hard it may first feel, and then gets a solution to her problem as a result, that gives meaning to her action. Each major action and choice that a character makes should be tougher than the last. If everything's easy and pointless, nobody cares. But if everything's hard and intimidating and consequential, then everyone will care. Miles Morales and his movie stand out in a positive way because he must make negative choices that no other Spider-Man has ever had to face. How ironic.